Hello and welcome to CATSweek. I'm Annalise Poorman. The Monroe County Board of Commissioners discussed purchasing land on Hunter Valley Road in order to develop a tourist destination during its September 15th meeting. County Attorney Jeff Cockrell presented the purchase agreements.
What we have in front of you are two different purchase agreements. One is for what we've considered to be Hunter Valley 2. These are both kind of just the northwest of the I-69-46 interchange. They are owned by Mrs. Francis, and that is the purchase price is $175,000. The reason it's not detailed out as a specific number in the agenda request is because a couple of different things. One is we've in these agreements we are going to cover the closing costs for this. Plus, we have agreed to cover the pay 22 real estate taxes on those. So don't really know what all those numbers are, but the base price for that one is $175,000. The other one is what I think referred to as Hunter Valley 2, which is owned by the Yates Trust. The purchase price on that is $195,000. And again, we've made those same covering the closing costs and paying next year's taxes part of that agreement as well. So those are the kind of the two properties. If you haven't, there are some different language for environmental conditions than we've had in the past, and that's based upon our own explorations and study of the property. So we feel that we've got a pretty good handle on what's there. There is requirements that they can't do anything between now and when we close. Closing date on those are both going to be by the end of October.
Commissioner Lee Jones commented on public health studies that concluded there are low levels of PCB contamination in the area. She said she's glad that the county is taking ownership of the land. Commissioner Julie Thomas remains optimistic about the future of the location.
Yeah, it's beautiful property, and this is really something that should be in the hands of Monroe County government, and I really look forward to seeing where we go with this next and what we can make out of this. It has been a lot of years, as Commissioner Jones said. I feel like this has been on the front burner and back burner for a very long time. And it's very exciting just to have this progress. So really great work. And thank you, Mr. Cockrell, for getting us here, because it took a great deal of work to get to this point. So thank you for all of that hard work.
The motion for the purchase agreements on Hunter Valley Road was approved 3-0. The Bloomington City Council deliberated on the annexation ordinances at their September 15th meeting. The council took into consideration the citizens' concerns over increased taxes and removed parcels of land from the proposed annexation. Mayor John Hamilton explained why the annexation process is necessary and why the city is following through with it, regardless of the opposition it has faced.
When I took office in January 2016, I soon learned that our city had stopped annexing any property in about 2004, despite continual significant growth and urbanization. With lots of public discussion and engagement, we began in early 2017 the process to remedy that disconnect between city boundaries on the books and city development and growth on the ground. In the middle of a very orderly and robust 6-month public process, state interests, primarily conservative rural interests in the legislature, intervened illegally in 2017, seeking to stop our annexation efforts altogether. We sued, and 3.5 years later, the Indiana Supreme Court agreed with us. And in the meantime, the state legislature took 2 more major steps seeking to diminish the chances for an impact of annexation, dealing with existing sewer waivers and with fire territory coverage. We have carried on and will carry on, as our city did for its first 185 years, in appropriate and orderly annexation efforts.
Several residents who live on Heritage Woods Road made comments against their possible annexation, saying that they only received city water and would not otherwise benefit from annexation. Resident John Acapio explained why this parcel of land should not be annexed.
I'd like to speak to the history, the heritage, and the character of our road because it seems like we are seen as only a line on a very big map. Heritage Woods Roads was established in 1961 as a 501c3 private road. We've never had county services. In 1961, there was no Lake Monroe and no College Mall shopping area. This was a country road miles from the city. Our road was established as a rural, forested, dead-end ridge road, surrounded and locked in by deep ravines and Salt Creek tributaries. Our properties are big. They range from 1 to 12 acres. We do not meet Indiana state urban density minimums for annexation.
The vote to exempt Heritage Woods from annexation failed 3-6. In concluding comments, Councilmember Susan Sandberg explained her hesitation to move forward with annexation.
As we ponder this ambitious annexation proposal, the thought occurs to me that as we strive to right-size Bloomington, we do so as we downsize our county colleagues who represent the interests of their constituents. It's telling, I believe, that 3 of our county commissioners have joined this discussion on the fiscal plans tonight, and they are in opposition. And that gives me great pause. Another huge obstacle for me, and this is no news to anyone or the administration, is this non-capital issue of police protection and public safety. And that gives me even more pause. So given all that we heard and all that we've examined, I find myself completely losing my appetite for involuntary annexation. It would certainly be my hope that we could do so more incrementally and more because of people. And we have heard from people who say they want to be annexed, but that would have to be done in a large enough scale that would make this much more palatable for me. And so that's all I will say. Thank you.
The council decided to recess for the night and will continue the discussion on the proposed annexation parcels on September 22nd at 6:30 p.m. At the Bloomington Commission on Sustainability meeting on September 14th, Assistant Director of Sustainability Lauren Clemens shared a report from the Environmental Resilience Institute in collaboration with Monroe County. The report assessed how well prepared Monroe County is to face the effects of climate change. Clemens outlined the Monroe County's strengths and weaknesses.
So the 3 climate impacts that, according to this assessment, Monroe County was most prepared on are areas that the county has been actively trying to improve. And so that includes increased stress on existing communication systems during extreme weather. So some ways that the county is working to improve this is to have a county-wide emergency management notification system. So if there's things like, extreme weather, et cetera, that county residents can be notified on their phone. Increased impacts on residents during and after flood and heat events. As these will become more frequent, it's more incumbent on the county and local government in general to respond to emergencies and try to work with residents to recover from those. And the 5th one was floodplain inundations and surface flooding. And so it's something that City of Bloomington's working on as well with things like greenways and green infrastructure. So as we expect that these sort of impacts will become more frequent, then trying to anticipate those and become more resilient to improve the results following the flooding. So some areas that the county did not rank as highly in relate to some more recommendations of ways to further prepare. So, and these have to do a lot with social and environmental vulnerabilities to climate change. So how climate change impacts could affect the local economy, and that could result in things like reduced tourism or increased price of inputs to goods that are made within the county, incorporating climate and disaster resilience into economic development strategic plans. So instead of just anticipating how that's going to go, as well as including it into emergency management, establishing protocols for providing assistance to residents who may face financial strain from higher energy costs, we see this happening already. Today, it's quite hot out. I've gotten a couple of emails from people that say that they're struggling with their utility costs, and I've been able to point them to more resources through their township or through pandemic relief for people that are in economic straits. But as the number of hot days keeps increasing, then there's increased strain on people that already have economic troubles and then are facing those high utility costs.
The commission also worked on an ordinance that would aim to reduce plastics locally. The ERI will be presenting the Next Steps report to the County Council on September 28th. And we'll have more Cats Week after this message.
For hurting families in Monroe County.
A contribution to children who are vulnerable and in need of an advocate.
A staff that goes above and beyond to support and advocate for children in need of services.
The web of remarkable people who are dealing with difficult situations.
So many young people that are in need of help and trying to find a stable family, a stable place to live. Without the CASAs to make that happen, many of them would be unable to find a good home.
I love being that voice for the child who can't speak for themselves in court.
It takes me out of my comfort zone, and it also helps others.
CASA means supporting our community.
Being a CASA is making sure that your village is healthy and whole, and that the children in your village will someday be able to help the village as well.
A child who doesn't have a voice, maybe in their family situation or a school situation, now has a voice that can advocate for them.
I really enjoy working with children that are going through difficult times and letting them know that I care about their future.
We are privileged with our charge of representing the best interest of children. And so therefore we can advocate for exactly what they need without restriction, focusing on their best interest.
I want to repair the world one child at a time.
Welcome back to Cats Week. The Monroe County Community School Board approved changes to corporation-wide COVID-19 procedures during their September 14th meeting. Board member Aaron Cooperman explained why the school district will allow rapid antigen testing as an indicator for returning to school after contracting COVID-19.
Where we currently have 3 options for a student to return to school when they have either been absent from school or sent home from school because of symptoms that are consistent with COVID-19. Currently, our options are they can quarantine for 10 days, they can get a doctor's note, or they can submit a negative PCR test. This change would only affect that third option, where instead of requiring a negative PCR test, we would also accept the results of a negative rapid antigen test. This is based on guidance from the CDC, the Indiana Department of Health, and the American Academy for Pediatrics. The evidence about the rapid antigen test suggests that it is sufficient to stop the transmission within our schools while also allowing for students who are negative to return to school faster. It's also important to note that this is in cooperation with the pediatricians that serve most of our students within MCCSC. So they are going to, they have already started offering the rapid antigen test for symptomatic students on days 0 through 5. As you probably know, access to PCR testing in our community had become a huge problem. So this it's not the only solution, but it is a piece of the puzzle to start, again, slowing transmission in our schools while allowing negative students to come back to school sooner.
During public comment, concerned resident Ashley Moore questioned board members about a new technology the MCCSC School Board will implement to address the transportation issue. Moore said the money could be better spent on hiring more drivers.
Like, as far as I know, the problem is a driver shortage, right? So wouldn't this money be better spent on drivers, giving them a raise, maybe a hiring bonus, maybe anything? Because I think if you push this through without being very transparent about what it actually is going to do for us, I think you're going to have some pretty mad parents.
Board members discussed a 5-year contract with Tyler Technologies to improve the bus tracking system. MCCSC Director of Technology, Tim Pritchett, presented the contract.
We have one contract to recommend today. The contract is with Tyler Technologies and Versatrans, our existing transportation software vendor, for the purchase and addition of several Versatrans modules to add on to our existing suite. The modules include Tyler Drive onboard GPS, student ridership package, enhanced report and diagnostic tools, and updated parent communication tools. The cost of the 5-year contract is $875,700.58 and will be paid from the ESSER funds.
The school board approved the contract unanimously. And we'll have more Cats Week after this message.
I'm at risk of thinking there's just no point in trying.
I'm at risk of looking in the mirror and hating what I see.
I'm at risk of regretting what I do, just to join the crowd.
I'm at risk of being told not to tell. And you would never know it by looking at me.
But with Girls Inc. in my corner,
there for me every day,
believing in me,
showing me what's possible,
I can be strong enough to respect myself and my body.
To say I can rather than I can't.
to say no with no apology,
To be a leader.
To finish school.
to own my future.
To break the cycle.
Girls Inc. believes every girl can succeed. That's why the trained professionals of Girls Inc. are there for our girls every day, supporting, mentoring, and guiding them in a safe, girls-only environment. Building bonds that last for years and change that lasts a lifetime. Girls Inc. gives girls the tools they need to boldly face challenges, to resist peer pressure, to be the first in their families to go to college, to beat the odds. With Girls Inc. in her corner, every girl can be healthy, confident, and resilient. She'll do more than dream about her potential. She'll reach it.
With you in my corner. With you in my corner,
I will not be another statistic.
I will fight for myself.
For my future.
With you in my corner, I will win.
Fuel her fire and she will change the world. Girls Inc. Inspiring all girls to be strong, smart, and bold.
Welcome back to Cats Week. The Ellettsville Town Council approved amendments to the zoning map on 3888 West State Road 46. The council initially moved to table the vote until more council members could be in attendance. However, since it had been tabled for the same reason multiple times already, they agreed to move ahead on the ordinance to ensure that it was heard before the 90-day deadline. There was a significant amount of public comment surrounding the issue. Residents in the area expressed concern that the new multi-unit development will oversaturate traffic and lead to more accidents. Community member Linda Summers spoke on behalf of her neighborhood to share why she did not want the council to approve the zoning amendment.
I collected 50 signatures from my neighbors in Spring Valley a few weeks ago. No one I spoke with had concerns about single-family or garden homes in Ellis Ridge, but all of them requested that you vote no on the proposed apartments. This is all we ask. We're not talking about countertops or whatever you guys are interested in. Town council members are elected to represent the people. And I don't see that.
Councilmember Dan Swafford conveyed reluctance and said he sympathized with the residents.
This exact situation happened to me. I bought a house down here on Capitol Avenue, and it wasn't 6 months later, they built apartments all around it. Our traffic probably 10 times the amount and not double. There were only 5 houses here. And so the traffic was increased at least tenfold. It is very difficult to get out on the highway because I have to do it every day, at least 3 times a day. I do know that I'm talking to other builders, and because this is C3, this might be the better solution than what could be coming up. Now, I'm not saying it would or wouldn't, but they could come in there with apartments during the whole thing because it's zone C3. So if they go commercial underneath, they could go more apartments above, and so on and so forth. And, you know, I just want to reiterate the fact I do appreciate you guys. I guess, you know, your house is there. You bought your house next to a dead end area. Something is going to go into that field there.
The council voted to approve the zoning for the multi-unit housing development 3-0. At the September 10th COVID-19 press conference, Mayor John Hamilton shared a positive message about the rate of COVID-19 cases in Bloomington.
You all know there's some hope looking at the state data. We talk about that data, and there's some indications of improvement statewide in cases and deaths. It's too early to know if that's a trend. We've seen these bumps before. I will say, you know, our county, the only county in the state with a mask mandate, I believe, is still one of only 3 counties in yellow in the better status, which is reminding us the importance of what we're doing. Our cases per 100,000, I know you'll hear this, what they are locally, below 200 again, which is good. But just as a reminder, the immediately surrounding counties are still at 300, 500, 600 cases per 100,000 compared to ours below 200. So we're definitely an island in a way, but really important, and thanks to all who are doing that.
On behalf of the Monroe County Board of Health, Health Administrator Penny Cottle gave an update on vaccinations in Monroe County. She shared that there are vaccine clinics available at schools to make it easier for families to get vaccinated, and that Monroe County's vaccination rate is slowly but steadily going up.
As of today, we have 59% of those who are eligible have been fully vaccinated. So we're creeping closer to that 60% that we hoped we would get to earlier this summer. And if we are at 60%, you know, next week, I think I'll do a happy dance just because we've hit that mark, right? So please consider being vaccinated.
During public comment, journalist Dave Askins asked Cottle about the County Health Department's future with mask mandate enforcement and how the resources could be better used to get more people vaccinated. Cottle explained ways in which vaccine outreach could be improved with more resources.
So what we would like is for everyone to wear a mask, whether there's a recommendation or mandate. If it is recommended or mandated, please wear your mask. We know that masks work. So number one, we want people to mask up while we have high levels of transmission with which we do. In terms of what we could do, there's another question, and I'm going to kind of jump and add it in. I don't know who asked it. Somebody asked a question about the number of people who received a first dose but haven't received their second dose. We could put efforts into reaching out to those individuals, making sure that they in fact did receive their second dose, or making that available to them. We can do more targeted, very specific, kind of time-consuming types of outreach. We know that we spend a lot of time and energy putting together these outreach clinics, sometimes to only do 1 or 2 vaccines. So if we could work with individuals on the front end to ensure that we have a group of people who are ready to take that vaccine, who have their questions answered, then we could be there and know that we are going to provide vaccine for them. So there are lots of ways that I think that we could improve what we're doing in terms of outreach.
The next COVID-19 press conference will be September 17th. And that is all for CATSweek. Thank you for joining us. For CATS and WFHB, I'm Annalise Poorman.